Hi guys. A lot of people think that narcissism is just a very selfish, self-centered person. And while that is definitely a piece of it, narcissists are very self-absorbed. They're very, self-centered, and really their whole interaction with the world is always through this sort of, selfish lens. But another, or maybe the most important defining characteristic of somebody who is either has NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, or a cluster B personality disorder, or sociopath or psychopath, like the most defining and important characteristic is that they lack empathy. They do not have empathy for other people, or they have, if they're just on the spectrum, they just have a very low level of empathy. And, you can see that really clearly if you watch how they treat other people. So, you may be in a relationship with a narcissist, or you may not know it, but you may have seen some of the red flags, but you may think that like you're the exception, that they're going to treat you differently or better than they treat other people. And I encourage you to look at the whole human and notice, like, how do they treat the waiter? How do they treat other people? How do they treat people who are in who are grieving, who have had a loss, who have had a trauma? Are these people, is this person that you're with able to provide empathy, compassion, and comfort to people who have had a loss? If there's somebody close to them, say there's a parent, maybe who has lost a lifelong pet, like is this person able to reach out and extend sympathy, compassion, and empathy to that person? Are they able to, are they interested in other people? Are they curious about other people? Do they, when you introduce them to friends, are they curious? Do they ask questions about that person's life? Do they show a genuine curiosity about the lowlings, or do they only give their time and energy to somebody that they deem is sort of on their either socioeconomic or intellectual level or above? So you will see a lot with narcissists that they will worship people that they they have determined are special, right? And that is, that's something to look for. Like, are you treating the janitor with the same kindness as you would the CEO? Or are you only, associating with, are they only associating with the special people, right? So that's just something to look for. Like, how do they treat people? Do they show compassion? Do they show empathy? Are they kind to the waiter? Do they tip 20%? Just these are small things to look for. And then also in their relationships, like, are their relationships with their friends, do they have, long-term, lifelong relationships with friends that are deeply connected and emotionally intimate? Or are all their relationships surface? Are they all shallow? Are they all adventure-based? And is this person able to easily discard friends and just move on to the next as if it didn't matter? Like, do they have 15-year relationships that that they had for a long time, and they just discard them as soon as that person is on to the idea that they are not perfect, right? So again, these people, basically, if anyone challenges their self-concept of perfection, then, these typically narcissists are very quick to discard anyone who is challenging that. So, notice, how does this people treat other people? And is this person that you're with, are they generous? And are they generous with a giving, loving heart that's coming from just a place of, purity and generosity and love? Or is all of their giving strategic? So they only give if they're going to get, and it's a very strategic tally that's in their minds. So just notice, like, is this person, are they able to walk by, a beggar on the street and give that person a dollar or two without any judgment? Or do they look at that person with disdain and they're not willing to help the less fortunate? So that's just something to look for. Are you with somebody who's so profoundly selfish and so lacking in empathy that they, treat people with disdain? That, if they treat others with disdain, then they are going to eventually treat you with disdain. That is how they operate. You might be on the pedestal during the idealization phase and the love bombing, but just be careful when somebody puts you on a pedestal, because they're going to kick the chair out and you're going to come crashing down once they realize that you're human, and they will not accept your imperfections. They cannot accept imperfections in others. They cannot tolerate imperfections in themselves. And really, it's a lot of hypocrisy, because all of us are imperfect. We are all human beings. We are all part of this human experience, and we all have these imperfections. And part of the grace of living in this world is that we get to walk this path where we get to start accepting our humanity and our imperfections, and realize that, this is part of the human condition, and it's okay. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to make mistakes. The key is, can you forgive yourself and try to work better, try harder to do better? Can you forgive others in spite of their humanity? Or do you have this ideology where you expect everyone to be, perfect? So these are just some things to look for. If you're newly in a relationship and you're suspecting that somebody might have highly narcissistic tendencies, I would say a few things to watch for. If you're being open, honest, and authentic with this person, and you're sharing from your, vulnerability, are they reciprocating? Are they also being vulnerable, open, honest, and authentic? Or what you'll find a lot with coverts is they can pretend to be so interested in your, in you sharing themselves with them, and they can listen, and they can be just very attentive listeners, but you will notice that they are not reciprocating. You could tell them something that really hurt you from childhood, or some trauma you had, and are they sharing from their internal life? What you'll see a lot with narcissists is they're invulnerable. They cannot, they have this inability to self-reflect or look inside, and it's very hard for them, or almost impossible for them, to say, hey, yeah, I have this issue, I had this trauma, and I know it affected me as a child, and let me share that with you. That's reciprocal, right? So you're sharing, they're sharing, you're sort of developing this level of intimacy. And a lot of the scientists speculate that, narcissism, it's an intimacy disorder. And, of course, most narcissists are also sex porn addicts, or one or the other, or both. So, this is all about an intimacy disorder. This is all about a childhood wounding, about attachment issues from childhood, where these people cannot be vulnerable, they cannot be authentic, they cannot be honest, they cannot allow themselves to be emotionally intimate with another human being. And it could be because as a child they learned that wasn't a safe thing to do, for whatever reason. It could have been primary caregiver, or it could have been a trauma, and they learned that they can't, for them it's not safe to be emotionally intimate with others, right? So they won't allow themselves to. And that's so sad if you think about it. Like, I'm really starting to develop a lot more compassion when I think about cluster Bs. It's so sad to live that kind of existence where you cannot connect with other human beings. I mean, what a lonely, isolating, sad way to live. I mean, it's actually heartbreaking if you think about it, because one of my greatest joys as a human has been able to, once I got sober, I was able to develop, and get in touch with my empathy. My heart opened up. I was able to be authentic and real, and just send myself to relationships. And I found this amazing thing that people accepted me for who I was. And that is such a beautiful gift, really, if you think about it. It allows incredible intimacy and connectedness and love, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's living like a full life. And you'll see a lot with narcissists. I mean, I look at it like they're living a half life. It's not even a real existence. It's so sad. They're working so hard to send this mask of perfection that takes a lot of work, rather than just being themselves and being okay in their own skin. And really, I mean, it's a very sad, isolating, place to live in. It's really living this, this shallow existence, this half life, because you are not connected. And connection, as we know, connection with other human beings is the key, I think, for, a deep sense of fulfillment in your life. And, at the end of the day, when we've made it through this life journey, like, pretty sure that that's what matters, is your relationships and your connection to other people. Because you can't take any of this stuff with you. You can't take your money, you can't take your stuff, you can't take any of that. So really, what do you have left? You have how much you were loved and how much you loved. And the way to be truly deeply loved by others, I think, is you send your true self. And some people are going to absolutely adore you, and others might not. And if they don't, and you're sending your true self, and you're being authentic, and you're being your real self, and if some people can't or don't want to accept that, consider that a great compliment. That if you're being your authentic self and some people don't like you, that is a compliment. So I don't know if this is helpful for you, but this is just some of the things I've been thinking about, ways to spot narcissists or very selfish people, and then also, ways in which you can avoid those sorts of relationships, and ways to start looking at yourself and loving yourself and be authentic and kind and honest and try your best and realize you're going to make mistakes. We all do. None of us are perfect. So I hope you have a really wonderful day today. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.